It's funny, Steve Becker told me not to play the Ultimate Browns intro song when I'm doing the fan show. So, Steve, my bad. It was preloaded. Here's the real intro you wanted. Let's do this part 2, take 2, right now. What's up, guys? G. Bush usually does the Ultimate Brown Show live on Fridays at 5 o'clock. He is going through a doctoral procedure, for lack of a better term. He's fine, but he has a little checkup. So I said, all right, let's do the fan show live this week. And joining me this week's my homie. It is Zach Poindexter from Solon. And Zach, before we get into the preview, it's been a hell of a week for Solon. I'm not sure if you saw this, but I learned this week that Jeff Passan, Zach Mizell, Nick Camino, and Sean Dunnigan of WKYC all went to Solon, and that has to be the Mount Rushmore of baseball journalists from one high school in the country right now. And the fact they're getting a chance to cover their hometown Guardians in the ALCS is pretty cool and putting Solon on the map.
Yeah, it's crazy, honestly. Now that I think about it, I think I actually remembered Nick a long time ago a little bit. It's just crazy to see how far he's come, man.
They've all grown up and are doing a great job covering the Guardians. And we're going to end this with a little Guardians talk because that game last night was wild. And Zach, I know baseball is your bread and butter, but let's talk a little Browns. I see you wearing the Nick Chubb jersey. Yep. The Browns offense is broken. It is disgusting. It has been historically bad through 6 games. Zach, can Nick Chubb's return to the field, in your opinion, solve and or fix whatever the heck we've been seeing through the first month and a half from the Browns?
Honestly, I'm not holding out any hope. I think Stefanski's going to ease him back into the offense. I don't think he's going to have him have too many carries. He's probably going to have him maybe have 12, maybe 15 carries most. And with the way the offensive line's been, I don't know. I'd be surprised if he can rush for over 70 yards, man. You know, so we'll see. We'll see. I'm holding out hope, though.
It's funny that even when Nick Chubb was healthy before the injury, we were clamoring, give him more carries, let him run the ball 20 times. And Kevin Stefanski was super conservative with the workload for Nick Chubb. Now coming off injury, in my head, it's like, let the dude run. If he's healthy and he's playing, feed him the rock. But even when he was healthy pre-injury, he wasn't getting the number of carries guys like Derrick Henry or Christian McCaffrey were. So I have no idea what to expect. Stefanski confirmed today he is playing Sunday, barring any last-minute setbacks. But whether he's 98% of old Nick Chubb, 120% better than we've ever seen, or 50%, I frankly have no idea. All I know is the reaction he gets when he runs on the field come Sunday. You'll be in the Muni lot. I'm sure I'll be in the Muni lot before the game. I don't know where you'll be at kickoff now that West 6 isn't what it was, Zach, but I'm sure wherever we're at in the city, we're going to be able to hear Cleveland Browns Stadium when Nick Chubb takes the field.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, if I'm being honest, the only reason why I'm going to go down there and watch the game, and is just because Nick Chubb's back. You know, he means so much to the city that, you know, I didn't want to wear my jersey until he came back healthy. I had to rock a knockoff, bootleg Browns merch, shirt. So now that he's back, I finally get to rock this proudly. You know, I just hope that everybody shows out for him and, shows him how much he means to this city.
Did you read the Players Tribune article he put out? I think it was Wednesday?
I didn't. I saw some snippets of it. I got to get to it and read it, but I can tell that it was definitely something where, like I said, he knows how much he means to the city, and it's nice that he reciprocates that, because honestly, I don't think we deserve him. I don't.
That's what Dustin Fox said on the show, and people see it's very funny and very telling who just reads a headline and reacts as opposed to who listens to the context. Dustin said the Browns as an organization don't deserve Nick Chubb. The fans do, but the organization doesn't. And we just put out as a tweet because Dustin said the Browns don't deserve Nick Chubb. No one actually listened to it. And I think to an extent, he's right. I think to an extent, it's a little over-exaggerating, but why do you believe the Browns don't deserve Nick Chubb, Zach?
I think, I think the Haslams have done a lot to erode some goodwill with the city. Obviously there's a situation with the new stadium and all that's driving some people up the wall, and a lot of people don't like that. And then, the Watson contract where, they had a lot of this positive momentum after they beat the Steelers in the playoffs that one year where they had some momentum. They built a lot of goodwill, but, this season eroded a lot of that. Last season was, if Joe Flacco didn't save us, I think that, some of that goodwill that was coming into last season would have been eroded by then. But, this season with the start, I think a lot of that goodwill has been eroded. And like I said, Nick Chubb, he comes in, he's humble, he does his job, and the city loves him because of that. And, I just don't think that this organization deserves him. Like you said, the organization doesn't deserve him. The city does because we love to support our players. But I just think the organization has done everything they can to erode any goodwill they've had with the fans and the city. And, in result, they don't deserve, Nick Chubb sometimes, I feel.
In your opinion, why is it that Nick Chubb is connected with the city so much? Because you can ask 100 people in Cleveland almost any question you want, and you'll get some sort of a 50-50, 60-40 split. Unless you ask them, who's your favorite player on the Browns? And 99% are going to say Nick Chubb. And if you ask them, do you love Nick Chubb? 100 out of 100 are going to say yes. Why is it that Nick Chubb, a kid from Georgia, has connected so much with the fan base in Northeast Ohio that I don't want to say doesn't accept outsiders, because it does, but it certainly loves to support the hometown kids. And it feels like, if you didn't know any better, Nick Chubb could be from, I don't know, Lakewood or Avon for the way he gets supported. But he's a kid from Georgia who's fit in seamlessly here into the culture and city that the Browns support. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think you said it where, he personifies a lot of Cleveland culture where, he gets up, he does his job, he's not flashy. And, I think that's a lot of how the city is, where there's a lot of pride in people who work hard to do their job. They kind of keep their heads down. They have pride in what they do, but they don't have to boast it. It's not like LA or Miami or New York where, everybody has to show what they can do and they have to remind you what they can do. He goes out there, he lets his game do the talking for him. And I think that humble superstar nature he has is the reason why people, in Cleveland resonate with him. It's just, do hard work, put your head down, be humble, and show the world how great you are. You don't have to tell people.
In that same vein, Zach, how do you think they're going to do player introductions on Sunday? Because you have one player, Nick Chubb, that is certainly going to be serenaded with cheers. You have another player in the quarterback who, I don't know, let's just say his approval rating isn't super high in the city right now. So how do you think the Browns handle player introductions? Do they skip it? Do they just do Nick Chubb? Do they just do the defense? I saw Ken and Lima on the morning show suggest that maybe they sneak in Nick Chubb to the likes of number 24, Nick Chubb, and Deshaun Watson, and then just try and hide it. How do you think they handle that particular situation come Sunday afternoon?
Honestly, I think that, the Cooper trade doesn't help either, because he's another guy that was similar to Chubb where, the city really loved him. I think that they might just have to put on a spectacle for Nick Chubb. I know he doesn't like the spotlight, but, that injury was something where, I didn't see it live because that was the one game that I decided I wasn't going to watch last year.
Monday night, the late one.
Yeah, I just remember where I saw the replays of that injury, and I was scared he would even play again. And I think the fact that he's already back on track to play, that means a lot more, just because he already dealt the ACL injury before, and then he had this injury where I'm not sure if they went into detail of how gruesome it was, but I know it was pretty bad. And I think they just need to celebrate him. Don't make it all about him. Just say, hey, he's back, let the fans get their cheers in, because there's a lot of people that are just going to the game for him. I'm tuning in mostly because of him, so
I don't think you're alone in that. I've heard that sentiment for a lot. And Zach, I know you know where my apartment is. I will be standing on my balcony as they do introductions, trying to hear the stadium to see what's louder from a mile away. The cheers for Nick Chubb or the boos for Deshaun Watson. On the flip side, the Browns have to figure out a way to stop this high-powered Bengals offense led by Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. The Browns defense was elite last season. It has been average this season. They've done a good job in the past stopping the Bengals. Zach, I know I think you were at the game last year when they came here in week 1 where they held Cincinnati to just 3 points in the rain. But What do you expect from a defensive standpoint from the Browns, who haven't been great this year, but also kind of have Cincinnati's number? How do you think that goes this time?
The Bengals, if they've been putting points on the board this year, I'm just wondering how they're going to stop Jamar Chase. I'm not sure what the situation is on Denzel Ward playing.
He's going to play. He's on a pitch count. That's the last we heard.
That's kind of odd for a corner, but
very, very weird for a corner.
Odd for a corner, but I'm just wondering how they're going to stop him. I don't really trust our secondary to shut him down. If you can limit him and stifle him, I think that's what matters the most. The edge rushers getting the Burrow and pressuring him is going to be important. I know everybody's going to be focused on Myles Garrett, but I kind of want to see more from Zadarius Smith. Last year he was great. It seems like this year he's been all right. It seems like he just hasn't really been that two-headed monster with Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith. I'd like to see him do a little bit more because they're going to focus Myles and making sure he can't get in there and pressure Burrow too much. I think that's what it's really going to come down to, seeing if the pass rushers can really get after Burrow and get him to rush a little bit and maybe throw off him and Chase's timing. I think that's going to be a bit of what they're going to have to do to really, get after them and win this game.
The plays Denzel's on the field, Zach, I'm not too worried. Denzel's done an incredible job throughout his career slowing down Jamar Chase. It's the plays when Denzel's not on the field and Joe Burrow notices that, gets to the line of scrimmage. I don't really care what the play call is. He's going to audible and tell Jamar, get open, I'll find you. And if the last 6 weeks have been any indication, Martin Emerson and Greg Newsome are not playing at a level that makes me feel confident they can slow down Jamar Chase and T. Higgins at this point. And those are the plays. And I think Jim Schwartz is going to have to get really creative and situationally aware and intelligent in how he subs out Denzel Ward. If it's an obvious run situation, take him out, no need. If it's a pass situation, obviously you have to be in there, but try and play some mind games with the Bengals offensive staff as to when they can take their shots and when can't they. I think they're going to blitz a lot more when Ward's in the game than when he's not. But that is a particular part of the matchup come Sunday that I don't feel great about, but I also don't feel great about the Browns offense either. So I'm not sure what worries me more, the Browns offense or the Browns defense. What say you?
It's the offense. Think about you. You've seen all the numbers. Watson's a bottom 3 quarterback by most metrics, and now with, Amari Cooper, who he wasn't great this year. Jerry Jeudy's been solid, but, he's not necessarily a number 1 right now. And the run game hasn't been established a lot early on. And you're kind of wondering where, if you get Nick Chubb in there sharing runs with Jerome Ford, if that messes with the flow of the run game at all, where, Ford's probably used to getting well over half the touches, where, maybe they'll give him, maybe 30% of the touches or something like that might ruin his flow of things. The offense is just too suspect for me to trust. I'm hoping that they can. I don't think they're going to crack 20 points because they haven't done it yet so far, but that'd be optimistic. But I think it all just comes down to the run game if they can establish it enough, because I don't think the pass is really going to be there because Watson just hasn't shown me enough so that, he can throw consistently and throw that deep ball. And now that Cooper's gone, that's another weapon that he doesn't have.
Yeah, he's 3 of 17 for 77 yards on deep balls this year. 11 have been considered off target. It's the second fewest deep completions in football, behind only Jacoby Brissett. That's not company you want to be in. Zach, we're talking Guardians, but first, give me a bold prediction and a winner for the Browns game on Sunday.
I hate to do it, but I'm picking Bengals. I'm thinking they put up. I think they put up 28. I think the Browns probably put up 17.
28-17. And give me a bold prediction. Hot take, player prediction. Take your choice. Could be any team, any player, but give me something to keep an eye
on. Honestly, I can't really. I think Nick Chubb gets 100 yards this game. I know it might be bold, but I think he rushed for 100 yards. He scores one of our touchdowns.
I bet on FanDuel it's plus 135 anytime touchdown for Nick Chubb, which I sprinkled a little money on. I think if they get in the red zone, Nick Chubb's going to get a ton of the carries. Zach, that Guardians game last night was absolutely batshit crazy. Incredible. The highs, the lows. Aaron Judge ties it off Clase. Stanton gives him the lead. Then Lane Thomas with 2 strikes in the 9th hits the double. Big Christmas delivers the present, which sends it to extra innings. Then in extra innings, David Fry with the game-winning 2-run walk-off. I mean, is that the best game you've ever? I mean, Game 7 of the NBA championship, and that are those the 2 best games you've ever seen as a Cleveland sports fan?
It's up there for sure. I think the back and forth alone and the fact that they went, I mean, I just remember the 9th inning when Jose got on and then Naylor hitting the double play. I thought it was over.
I did too.
I thought it was over. Then, Lane Thomas hits that double, and somehow Big Christmas just happened to have his first homer of the postseason in such a clutch situation. The back and forth and the fact that it was that anxiety-inducing, I don't think I felt a Cleveland baseball game like that since Game 7 of the 2016 World Series. And that game was bad enough that I wanted to turn off the TV. My blood pressure went up a little bit that day. But I would say it's definitely a recent classic, I would say. It's probably the best baseball game this year so far. I think if they win this series, it gets elevated a little bit more. Now, if they lose, it's still a great game. But if they win, that'll amplify it and kind of put it up there in terms of the best, Cleveland playoff games ever.
Zach, this is how good the game last night was. I had all intentions that I'd go to the Parrot to watch the game. I bought tickets. Me and Gabby are going. I bought 2 upper. I mean, we're the second last row from the top. But I figured if yesterday was what yesterday was, if there's even a chance, a 2% chance we can get a repeat of that, I had to be in the building. So I bought tickets tonight. I cannot wait to get in there. I've never experienced a Cleveland baseball game in person before. It'll be my first, and I'm incredibly excited to see the atmosphere. Gavin Williams on the mound, Zach. He hasn't pitched since September 22nd. Yeah. So essentially a month since his last start. He finished the year 1-4 in his last 5. He pitched against the Yankees. He pitched 4 1/3, gave up, I think it was 4 runs. He walked 5 guys, didn't have command. He's the guy that's going to be on the line to save the season, to keep the momentum going, Zach. What's your confidence level in Gavin Williams to be able to keep this train rolling for Cleveland to try and tie the series up at 2 games apiece?
I'm a little shaky on him. Not starting for almost a month for a starting pitcher is a big deal. Just because those guys are so routine oriented every 4 or 5 days. They're used to doing their own thing. And when you get away from that routine, it's a little difficult. He wasn't super sharp coming back from injury, but last season we saw that when he's on, he's got potential to be one of the better young pitchers in the game. For me, I think it all comes down to establishing his fastball. That's number one, and trusting his stuff. Because, he's got a nasty curveball, good slider, solid changeup. But if he doesn't feel those off-speed pitches and the breaking ball, and he's just a fastball guy with his velocity already kind of down, I'm a little nervous because any hitter can hit a fastball. You have to mix in that breaking stuff. I just hope that he can give us some length because the bullpen's been taxed like crazy lately.
Yeah.
I think he has to go over 5. That's what you hope for. I'd love to see 3 1/3 or 3 2/3 shutout innings. That's great. But if he can give us 5 and, get the bullpen in there after the 6th inning, I'll take that.
Isn't it crazy that now it's like, hey, just give us 3 1/3 and you're good? Like, how times have changed. Zach, I'm not going to lie. I am beyond nervous for Gavin Williams tonight. The Yankees do a couple things very well. They hit fastballs, and they hit fastballs that aren't thrown extremely fast. They struggle. I saw a stat. They were like 23rd or 24th in the league in BABIP, which is batting average on balls hit in play, against fastballs over 96 miles an hour. They were 4th or 5th in any fastball under 96 miles an hour. And Gavin Williams this year, coming back off injury, teeters right in that 93, 94 range. And his fastball straight as an arrow. And when it's on, but he hasn't been on this year. And you could tell me he's going to pitch lights out tonight, and I'd say, okay, I believe it. Or you could tell me he gets absolutely clobbered in the first inning, going up against Judge and Soto and Stanton and whoever else the Yankees have at the top of the lineup, Torres. And I'd be like, yeah, I can see it. So I really don't know what to expect tonight. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm going to bring 3 sweatshirts to change in case the vibes are off early. So I'll be ready. I will be doing my part. But I'd be lying to tell you I have a ton of confidence. The good news is Luis Gil, who's pitching for the Yankees, is kind of the same boat. He struggles with command. He walks a ton of batters. And if Josh Naylor and the Guardians, and I say Josh Naylor intentionally because he's been the biggest culprit of it, if Josh Naylor and company can not swing at bad pitches, they're going to have a chance to get some traffic on the bases. They could steal on the Yankees and make this game messy in a good way, which favors Cleveland.
Yeah, no, I agree completely with you on that. And that's the big thing where Josh Naylor has not put up any quality at bats at all. I mean, it seems like he's going down on 3 and 4 pitches, especially the left-handers. I mean, I know Gil's a righty, but he has not had any competitive at bats where I have any faith in him. He's popping out pitches. He's hitting weak little tappers. I think he needs to lock in. Jose, he hasn't been great. His hits have thankfully been timely, but we need those two to kick in the gear if we're going to, come back in the series, because we can't expect Brian Rocchio at the bottom of the lineup to hit 500 like he has been, or expect, Lane Thomas and David Fry to carry us at all. Those are complimentary guys. You need your big dogs to eat.
I don't disagree, but at this point, I just think David Fry is going to get a hit every time he's in the clip with that. Let's get to some super chats real quick, Zach, and then we will wrap up. Colin says, I know Nick Chubb is back, but the Cooper trade just makes me feel like everything is falling apart before our eyes. We'll find out Sunday. The offense can't look much worse. That's the good news. That even without Amari Cooper, statistically speaking, it can't look that much worse. Skilly says, I'm almost thinking at the moment the Deshaun Watson gives us the best chance to win is the line the Browns are feeding the fans so that they can secretly tank. Colin also says, for the NFL fans that predicted the Browns having a bad season, we are literally doing worse than they expected. Malcolm says, I want to see the defense with a breath of fresh air by Cleveland activating 3 running backs and having over 200 yards rushing in the game. Chris MS says Jerome Ford sucks. Colin responded to that saying, that'd be awesome to see, but I'm wondering if the O-line can block for Chubb. O-line's been an issue. Hasn't been the only issue, but certainly been an issue. My guy Dalton, real quick story on Dalton. What's up, Dalton? Dalton played high school baseball with David Fry. And Dalton told me this morning that David Fry's walk-up song in high school, Zach, I'll give you one guess. What was David Fry? And it's out there. Like, this is not traditional. So David Fry grew up in Grapevine, Texas. What do you think his walk-up song in high school was? According to Dalton Hughes, my buddy from
I'm assuming it's something in this country. I don't know. Let's take a guess. Should have been a Cowboy by Toby Keith.
Gasolina. Which makes me love David Fry even more. So shout out to Dalton for that tidbit. I'm trying to get Dalton to come on the show to give us some more David Fry stories at some point back from his high school days. We did a whole topic today, Zach. Is David Fry the best rags to riches story you can remember in recent modern day sports? We decided that Kurt Warner's probably the real answer, the right answer. Jeremy Lin was in conversation for that. But if David Fry keeps hitting big-time home runs late in postseason games, he's going to keep catapulting his way up that power ranking. Zach, we did some Browns predictions. Give me your prediction for Game 4, Guards-Yanks tonight.
I think the Guards win this one. I think it's going to be a close game, though. I'm honestly thinking 4-2 us. I think somehow Gavin Williams guts out a decent start, gives us 5 innings, maybe gives up 1 run, and then Klase, he gets right back on the horse and closes it out in the 9th. That's what I'm hoping for.
I also think the Guardians win, but I think it's a high-scoring affair. I'm going 9-7 Guards win. Neither starting pitcher makes it out of the 3rd inning, and we are going to see some fireworks from Progressive Field tonight. Zach, let the people know where they can find you on Twitter, Instagram, whatever you want to plug. Here's your 30 seconds to plug any of your socials.
Hey, my IG is just my name. It's just at Zach Poindexter. So, hey, I don't give a lot of sports takes, but hey, I'd appreciate the follow.
If you want some gym tips, you can follow Zach too. Big dude. Zach, appreciate you hopping on here on the Ultimate Cleveland Fan Show. We have the Ultimate Post-Game Show coming up with a 2-minute warning. Bull has the Ultimate Guardian Show tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with Zach Mizell recapping Game 4 of the ALCS. He'll also do one, I believe, on Sunday morning recapping Game 5. So make sure you guys tune into that. For Zach, I'm McNuggets. We'll see you guys later. Peace.
Peace.